Good afternoon. Bring this June 18, 2026 meeting of the Sacramento Flood Control Agency Board of Directors to order. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Thank you. Director Desmond?
Here.
Director Hume?
Here.
Chairman Kennedy?
Here.
Director Rodriguez?
Here.
Director Munoz?
Here.
Director Jennings? Director Kaplan? Director Pluckybaum? Director Holloway? Director Johns? Director Chan?
Here.
Director Baines? And Director Stevens. We have an 8-member quorum.
Thank you. Will you please join me with the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This meeting of SAFCA is being live streamed on metro14live.saccounty.gov and is being recorded and will be re-aired on Metro Cable Channel 14 on Thursday, June 25th at 9 a.m. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next item is public comments for items not on the agenda. I do not have any cards. Is there any member of the public here today that would like to address the board on an item not on the agenda? Seeing none, our next item is closed session, but we are going to forego closed session as these items have been heard numerous times in closed session, unless there's any objection from a board member. Hearing and seeing none, next item, please.
And the next item are consent matters, and items 1 through 16 are in order.
Are there any questions of the board or anything you'd like to see pulled from the consent item calendar? Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any member of the public that would like to address the board on an item on consent? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Next item, please.
Next item is separate matters, item 18, which is a public hearing, resolution number 2026-058, accepting the annual report on staff vacancies, recruitment, and retention efforts as required under AB 2561.
Thank you, Chair Kennedy, members of the board, Jason Campbell, Executive Director. As part of the requirements of AB 2561, staff has to report out to your board in regards to our requirements regarding vacancies of positions on an annual basis. So today we have the report that is required also prior to adopting the budget. So as we have indicated in past discussions, we do take care of a number of our issues pretty regularly as far as getting recruitments going ahead of time and a few other components of our efforts as vacancies become aware of vacancies or future vacancies due to retirement. But your board has been very supportive in those processes to make sure that our small staff is able to maintain our work moving forward while recruitments are occurring. So on the first page here, you can see that the requirements really are kick in when we have a situation where we have more than 20% of vacancies in any bargaining unit. As we have a very small staff, it wouldn't take much to get there, but fortunately, we do not have that issue as we move forward. You'll see some of the basic reporting that goes forward with this effort. So today, the public hearing is obviously prescriptive. So as we want to make sure that we understand our real need here, you can see that overall, our reporting period from June 25 through May of this year, we have a date of reporting to June 1st of this year. The overall vacancy rate was 11%. So that is basically broken down based on what we have as far as non-management and management positions. Everybody is at will at SAFCA. We have agreements and policies built into place to cover all of the components of what makes up our agreements with our staff. But we have been very successful in maintaining staff, as I indicated, by recruiting when vacancies occur, but also when we know that vacancies are going to occur. And we also make sure that any one of those groups, whether management or non-management positions, we're trying to make sure that we have the staff to be able to take care of the work. And I am kind of working a little bit slow here on purpose. I'm sorry for that. So as we look at our recruiting efforts, historically, We have used temporary agencies for some of the positions. In addition, we have done executive recruitments using recruiting firms, and we've also done evaluations of industry groups, but also we have prospected talent directly. So we are basically trying all effective ways of finding good staff and good talent. And along with that, we want to retain those individuals, so we make sure that we are keeping our competitive salaries and benefits in order. We evaluate on a 5-year turn, but we also evaluate what's going on specifically with engineering and accounting, very tough to fill positions. We are constantly keeping track of what's going on with those positions because we want to make sure that we're keeping up with the industry, but also retaining staff. And overall, we do have a 5-year comprehensive review that we bring to your board and identify whether or not there needs to be any changes to those salaries or any of the other components of compensation. So that said, there's intended to be a public hearing receiving this report and understanding what exactly our requirements are. Again, we have 11% vacancy over the period that is being evaluated, which does not trigger any of the additional components of changing policies or goals.
Any questions from the board? Seeing none, I will open up the public hearing. Is there any member of the public that would like to address the board at this time on this item? Hearing none, I will close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
I will move to approve the item.
Chair will second. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Next item, please.
Thank you. The next item is a public hearing, resolution number 2026-059, adopting the recommended fiscal year 26-27 budget.
Again, thank you, Chair Kennedy, members of the board. I have to wait for the presentation. All right, so here we are, bottom budget hearing, June 18th, 2026. Happy to present this once again. Not many changes since the May presentation. So again, we make budget assumptions based on what we are experiencing in the markets as well as in our construction industry and in general. These assumptions have been the basis of the budget for many years. And fortunately, we have not had to, hopefully knock on wood, not have to happen to have major disruptions to affect our budget. As a reminder, we have 4 basic funds. The 325A Operations Maintenance Assessment District Number 1 acts as our general fund, and the Development Impact Fee, the Natomas Basin Local Assessment District, and the Consolidated Capital Assessment District Number 2 are all primarily around capital program. So those 3 assessment districts and a Development Impact Fee make up our entire budget. So there was discussion last month in regards to a reserve policy, and the question was raised as what is SAFCA's reserve policy? So today I wanted to go ahead and let you know that we do have the SAFCA Act has called out that we can put it in as much as a 25% agency reserve policy. Currently, we are carrying about $11.45 million in general reserves that are unallocated in our general fund. So that is basically around 11% of the overall budget that we have, including all of those capital programs. Along with that, we, in addition, have 5% contingencies built into the funds and the appropriations that are before you. And beyond that, our other pension obligations are held in a 115 trust with the OPEB piece already fully funded and the pension portion of liabilities at 80%, and that fluctuates depending on how staff is working through the retirements and other pieces, so that does fluctuate a little bit with our small crew. For our projected sources for the budget overall, you can see $104 million roughly in the overall budget. Our reserves, we've got some reserves that we're pulling into the budget going forward for this next fiscal year. You can see fund balance of about $10.4 million, and then the different funds that have funding allocated from them to go into the overall budget. You can see $88.1 million is the primary sources of the funding for all of our work. You can see on the bottom, their bond refunding and issuance. We are in the process of issuing bonds for both the Natomas Basin Local Assessment District and CCAD2. We're anticipating that we'll identify about $50+ million in bond proceeds for that programs to be able to move forward. We'll go ahead and get the next slide. And then our appropriations, where we're planning on spending our funds. So you can see, of course, $70.6 million, the very large portion of our budget is capital program, which is levee systems and infrastructure and real estate and utility relocations. Along with that, our salaries and benefits down in the 4% range. We have some reserves that are being allocated that will be likely net after bond proceeds, but you can see we do have some free cash going into the following fiscal year. Services and supplies and all funds is about $14.6 million. And as I mentioned previously, we have contingency built into the operating funds as well. So jumping into the line items for the budget, you can see this is the summary as we've been presenting. This is the summary of all lines for all funds. And as we move forward, we'll get into the O&M a little bit, simply because, again, salaries are about $4.4 million. We have services and supplies at about $6 million. And then I like to mention every time is that $2.8 million that you see with the parentheses, that's revenue coming in from the other funds for staff time towards projects. So the other fees are paying for the funds for our general fund, so it's reimbursing general fund. And then beyond that, we do have about $6.4 million that are coming in for the assessment revenue for the O&M, and you can also see the other piece of that fund balance that was being carried in. As required by government code, we have to provide you with our salary list and position allocations. So you can see there is 18.5 positions. We have a small change between retired annuitants at the bottom, so one add and one delete, and then the salaries and the allocations above that. So project expenses, as I mentioned, make up the primary load of our requirements for appropriation. So $67 million roughly in projects, and 80% of that is associated with two, which is both American River Common Features, Natomas, and ARCF 16. And we do have residual work going on up at Folsom, actually quite a bit of work, but it's primarily being performed by the Corps. We do supplement in certain areas for relocations and other pieces that are required, including a sheriff's security agreement and things that help advance the work. Our development impact fee, we are showing that infrastructure has $10.3 million. Again, the development impact fee is intended to supplement the other program projects and make sure that we're getting to our 200-year level of protection and beyond. So the $10 million that you see here is supporting some of those projects, and we'll get to that in just a second. But you can also see that we are pulling some reserves out to cover those costs, but we also anticipate another $3.2 million in revenue from the DIF from our agencies that are collecting for us. Natomas Basin, the revenue that we're seeing here is primarily for the bond refunding. So we have savings on the 2014 bond issuance. We're going to capitalize that, and we're going to generate a little over $3 million, which will go into the construction funds and other components of the Natomas project. And of course, the Consolidated Capital Assessment District number 2, obviously a large number for the infrastructure, $48 million, rolling down into some of the provisions for reserve. That is specifically based on the fact that we are issuing bonds, so we're already anticipating having provisions for reserves going into the following year. But you can see the bond issuance down on the bottom. along with I believe that's $16 million in state reimbursements for work that we advance in conjunction with the state, where we advance the dollars to get that work done and they reimburse us. And this slide here is intended to identify those projects that are identified in those funds, so you can see exactly which projects are being funded by which fund. So that's basically all I have. We do have a public hearing, so staff is recommending that your board adopt this resolution and provide us with our budget for fiscal year 27.
Okay, I have no members in the queue. I will open up the public hearing. Is there any member of the public that would like to address the board at this time on this item? Hearing and seeing none, I will close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
I will move to approve the item.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Next item.
Thank you. Next item is also a public hearing, resolution of necessity regarding Sacramento County APN 226-0010-002, property at 5625 East Levy Road. Property owner is Spiridon E. and Georgia Avdis, and this item requires a 2/3 or 9-member approval to pass resolution.
Welcome back, Mr. McDegroat.
Thank you. Good afternoon, directors. Matt Grove, Real Estate Club.
Hang on.
So the property in question is located at 5625 East Levy Road on the land side of the Natomas East Main Drainage Canal West Levy in the Natomas Basin area of Sacramento County. Acquisition of the property is required for the NIMDEC West Levy Reach G component of the project. So this property is located in Reach G, as you can see on the map here of the Natomas Levy reaches. This sketch shows the levee improvements along the east side of the property on East Levy Road, which includes widening the top of the levee and flattening the landside levee slope, construction of a seepage and stability berm, construction of an operation and maintenance road and on the landside toe of the levee, and the establishment of a flood control works protection zone. This exhibit shows where the property is located on that reach of the project. You can see over in the corner there. Here we have is the proposed fee acquisition. It's hard to tell on the next few slides, so they're all going to come together at the end. But this is showing the fee acquisition. It's Unit A parcel. You can see it blown up over on the left-hand side. This is depicting the access easement. It's the Unit B parcel, and you can see it again on the left-hand side corner. And this shows the temporary construction easement, which is kind of the squiggly path, which you can see blown up in the corner again. So putting those together is something that's more visible. You can see them on this slide here. So the fee acquisition is the red, and the easement is orange, and the temporary construction easement is blue. The fee is needed to construct the levee improvements to ensure that there are no encroachments or excavations to undermine the integrity of the levee and allow for the proper O&M of the flood control features to take place. The permanent access easement is needed to route the project's O&M road around the owner's access ramp and connect back to East Levy Road. And the temporary construction easement is required to replace the owner's fence along the new property line, constructing the replacement ramp and reconstructing the farm road that connects the owner's property to the adjacent property on the south. Attachment E through E3 on the staff report is a project description and necessity for the acquisition, the environmental compliance documents and considerations in selecting the mitigation sites, and the design analysis that was done for the relocated irrigation and drainage canals. On March 7th of 2022, Safeco sent a letter to the property owners advising them that the upcoming levee improvements project will affect their property. On July 28th of 2022, Safeco sent a letter to the property owners advising them that Safeco was preparing an appraisal to acquire a portion of the property and fee. On January 11th of 2023, Safeco sent a letter to the property owners advising them that the acquisition areas required for the project have been updated to reflect a more current design. And then on June 22nd, 2023, Safeco did provide a formal offer to purchase the property rights, which at that time consisted of a fee interest over a portion of the property, permanent access easement, and the temporary construction easement. On June 24th of 2024, Safeco and the owners entered into a possession and use agreement, and this granted Safeco the possession of the property for the construction and allowed for more time for negotiations. However, one of the terms of this POA stated that if an agreement on compensation could not be reached and Safeco hasn't initiated eminent domain proceedings by, at that time, March 31st, 2025, then the owners may initiate an inverse condemnation action. So then on February 23rd of 2025, Safeco provided the owners with a revised offer that reflected the changes in the areas of the access easement and the temporary construction easement that were negotiated as part of that JUA. On February 3rd of 2025 also, Safeco mailed a written notice to the owners of the property advising them that the board would hold a public hearing on February 20th to consider the adoption of a resolution of necessity to acquire the property rights by eminent domain. At that February 20th board meeting, upon being informed that the owners wished to extend that PUA, the board continued the hearing until its April 17th meeting to allow for more time for negotiations. So every time the meeting is rescheduled, for a board meeting, we always have to resend a new notice out, so that's kind of a recurring theme as we go through this. You'll see a lot of those notices. On March 5th of 2025, Safeco had to mail a written notice to the owners of the property again, advising them that the board would hold a hearing at a regular meeting on March 20th to consider the adoption of the RON to acquire the rights by eminent domain. On March 10th of 2025, Safeco and the owners executed an amendment to that PUA, which extended the date that Safeco must initiate eminent domain proceedings by 60 days to, at that time, May 31st of 2025. Then on March 10th of 2025, Safeco mailed a written notice to the owners, informed them that the matter would no longer need to be held at that board meeting because that PUA was extended. On April 1st of 2025, Safeco again had to mail a written notice to the owners of the property advising that the board would hold a hearing at a regular meeting on April 17th to consider the adoption of the property by eminent domain. At that meeting, the board continued the hearing to its May 15th meeting to allow for more time for negotiations. On April 25th of 2025, Safeco and the owners then executed another amendment to the possession use agreement, which extended the date that Safeco must acquire the property by eminent domain by 1 year to June 30th of 2026. So a year later, we haven't reached an agreement in that year time frame. So then on May 1st of 2026, Safeco had to mail another written notice to the owners advising them that the board would hold a hearing at the meeting on May 21st to consider adopting the resolution of necessity to acquire the property by eminent domain. After we mailed that notice, we then discovered that the exhibits, the property, were inadvertently switched with the exhibits from the adjacent property, so a revised notice was sent out and emailed on May 7th. At that May 21st board meeting, the board continued this hearing till today. So attachment T to the staff report is a diary of discussions between Safeco's right-of-way acquisition agent and staff and the owners and the representatives in which they discussed the effects of the project on the property and the acquisition process that would take place. On June 21st of 2026, Safeco then again had to file a written or mail a written notice to the owners of the property advising that this board would hold a hearing today at this time to consider the adoption of a resolution of necessity to acquire the rights by eminent domain. Nope, missed a couple slides, sorry. So this exhibit here shows the attachments to the resolution. It's the plat and legal for the fee, acquisition easement, and the temporary construction easement. And again, at this point, this is pretty much the end of the presentation, but to remind the board, we're here today because we're at the daylight of that possession use agreement clause, which says we need to file eminent domain proceedings at the end of this month. So that's why we're here before you today to request consideration of this resolution.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? And Mr. DeGroot, like we always say when we do a RON, this does not necessarily mean the end of negotiations, correct?
Correct, absolutely. We will continue negotiating this all the way to the courthouse steps if necessary.
Thank you very much. All right, at this time, I will open the public hearing. Is there any member of the board of the public that would like to address the board on this item? Hearing and seeing none, I will close the public hearing and take a motion.
I will move to approve the item.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain?
Chair, I will be abstaining for this item.
Okay, note that we have one abstention.
We can't continue.
Oh, it's 2/3.
I need to abstain.
Okay, so this puts us in a real bad predicament, does it not? Because we have to finish this item before.
Yeah, we will have to continue this till next month, this item. then.
But is that too late?
By choosing to do that right now, it would expose the agency to inverse condemnation damages,
Right.
which has been made clear at various points throughout this.
Okay. I will, having that information, I'm going to make a motion to reconsider. Is there a second? Second. Okay. We have a motion and a second to reconsider, and then we'll have a vote on the substantive motion itself. All those in favor to reconsider? Aye. Opposed? Abstain?
Still me.
Pardon me?
Still abstaining.
Okay. Director Munoz is abstaining. Is there a motion?
Chair, I just received a text that Director Pluckybaum is on his way.
How, any idea?
Table this matter and go to the next item,
The next
But the
item
next
is
item's
also
the
a
same
run.
thing.
but you have to have a report.
But it would be preferable if Mr. Pluckybum was here to be able to ask any questions on the item. Yeah. Okay, we're going to take a
15 minutes.
15-minute, we're going to take a 15-minute recess. We'll call the meeting back to order. Clerk, please call the roll to establish a quorum.
Thank you. Director Desmond? Director Hume? Here. Chairman Kennedy?
Here.
Director Rodriguez?
Here.
Director Munoz?
Here.
Director Jennings? Director Kaplan? Director Pluckybaum?
Here.
Director Holloway? Director Johns? Director Chan?
Here.
Director Baines? Director Stevens?
Here.
We do have a 10-member quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. All right, let's recap. We're still on item 20. We had a presentation by staff after this item has been heard in closed session on numerous occasions. We came one vote short of a quorum for a 2/3 vote on that item. It was then reconsidered, in which we still remain one vote short. Mr. Pluckybaum.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My apologies for being late. I've observed the meeting up to this point on YouTube, and I'm prepared to vote.
Thank you very much. So I believe we need another motion to reconsider. All right.
That's correct.
Chair will move. Okay, Vice Chair moves to reconsider. We have a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? All right. Abstain? Okay. Director Munoz abstains. And now on the substantive motion, Chair will move the staff recommendation authorizing eminent domain action to condemn the real property. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? I'm sorry, let's do a roll call vote.
Roll call vote on item 20. Rich Desmond. Aye. Director Hume.
Aye.
Chairman Kennedy.
Aye.
Director Rodriguez.
Aye.
Director Munoz.
Abstain.
Director Jennings. Director Kaplan. Director Pluckybaum. Director Holloway. Director Johns. Director Chan.
Aye.
Director Baines. And Director Stevens.
Aye.
We do have a 9-member approval.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Next item is a public hearing resolution of necessity continued from the May 21st board meeting regarding portions of APN 226-0010-003, property at 5311 East Levy Road, property owner Nick Avedis, and this item also requires a 2/3 or 9-member approval to pass resolution.
Mr. DeGroot. Here, I got you. There you go.
Thank you. So this property is located at 5311 East Levy Road on the land side levee of Natomas East Main Drainage Canal, West Levee, in the Natomas Basin area of Sacramento County. And acquisition of the property is required for the NIMDEC West Levee Reach G component of the project. This is also located in Reach G of the project, shown up on the screen here, the Natomas Levee Improvement Reaches. So I'm going to read through the first half of this presentation because they're different to this particular acquisition property. Then we'll kind of get an abridged view on the second half.
Knock yourself out.
So this sketch shows the levee improvements along the east side of the levee of the property on East Levy Road, which include widening of the top of the levee and flattening of the landside levee toe, construction of the seepage and stability berm, construction of an O&M road on landside levee toe of the levee, and establishment of a flood control works protection zone. Again, here is the location of this property at 5311 East Levy Road. So this attachment D, shows Unit A of the proposed acquisitions, the fee area up in the left-hand corner. You can see it enlarged. This shows the access easement, permanent access easement, Unit B, on the left-hand corner, enlarged also. And this attachment D3 shows the temporary construction easement, which is kind of a squiggly line up on the left-hand corner enlarged. So this attachment brings those together and shows how all those proposed acquisitions interact. So you have the fee acquisition in red, which is to construct the levee improvements to ensure that no encroachments or excavations undermine the integrity of the levee improvements, and also for the proper O&M and the flood control features to take place. The permanent access easement is needed to route the project's O&M road around the owner's ramp to reconnect back up to East Levy Road. And the temporary construction easement is required for replacing the owner's fence along the new property line and constructing the replacement access ramp and reconstructing a farm road that connects the owner's property to the adjacent property on the north. So this part of the presentation is very much similar to the one we just heard. So attachments E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, and Q, R, S, T, U are all in order in the staff report as presented to the board.
Your mastery of the alphabet is impressive. Council, just to establish, that is enough to establish a record.
Correct.
Thank you. Continue.
So to summarize, though, for this request of the board, again, there was a possession use agreement signed between Safeca and the owner, and that allowed the agency to have possession of the property for the construction of the project. However, through that possession use agreement and several amendments, there's a term in there that says the agency must initiate eminent domain proceedings by June 30th of this year. So that's why we're here before you today, because we're up against that timeline that we need to initiate eminent domain proceedings, or else the owner can file an inverse condemnation claim. And with that, as always, we will continue to negotiate with this owner all the way to the courthouse steps as long as it takes, and if we can reach a resolution. So with that, we request your consideration of this resolution.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Hearing seeing none, I'll open the public hearing. Is there any member of the public that would like to address the board on this item at this time? Hearing seeing none, I will close the public hearing and entertain a motion. We have a motion. Is there a second? Chair will second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain?
Aye.
Okay.
Director Desmond?
Or we'll do a roll call. I think this one's clear.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so we just let the record reflect that Director Munoz did abstain.
So noted.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, our next meeting for the SAFCA board will be July 16th, 2026. Correct, Mr. Campbell?
Correct.
Yep, okay. Thank you very much. Thanks, everybody, for being here. We're adjourned.